Main stories in the papers today, obviously, as we've seen front and back, is what's happening in the FAI, and it's been a pretty remarkable month at this stage since these revelations of the €100,000 bridging loan came out. But the last 24 hours, I think, is just incredible what we've been hearing from the FAI. We've seen over the last 24 hours that their auditors, Deloitte, have reported the company for failing to keep proper accounting records, which is a potential criminal threat. Criminal offence. We have seen the entire FAI board say that they are going to resign probably in July, unless an EGM is called before then, and that is up to the council members, people at grassroots level in Irish football, if they want to put the pressure on to have a EGM before then. The way Shane Ross and Sport Ireland were talking yesterday, maybe they feel that they should wait until July so that they have as many of these reports completed and that they're going into an EGM with a good sense of where everybody is, because I think if some of these board members rightly will feel that they can go for re-election, it's not going to be an absolute clean sweep, it seems, of the FAI, unless there is no FAI, which is something that Niall Quinn is in today's paper, suggesting that, much like the Olympic Council, that there is a clean sweep, that the FAI is such a tarnished brand now that we look at just reinventing the whole thing and you come back with Football Ireland or Soccer Ireland or whatever a new name is, but that it's a new fresh brand that really does see a new start for Irish football. Yeah, where do you stand on it, Stephen?
I suppose with the rebranding, it kind of makes sense when you see what happened with the Olympic Council. It did just kind of change everything, and now it's like seems to be rosy, and for sponsorship that will make a difference, I think, because going forward you don't want to be associated with something that's tarnished. You want to be with something that's new and fresh and that's has got, you know, a good way about it. So that could be the way forward. But, you know, this is dragged on. I think everybody knew from the moment that there was tried to get a high court injunction against 100,000 that was open up a can of worms, because you don't stop that if that's all it was there was obviously something else was going to happen. So as soon as that happened, you knew that there was going to be just going to dig a hole that's going to get further and further, and that's what's been, it's been so disappointing. Like, being involved with Ireland since I was 15 and with the FAI, and they've been my, I suppose, the club I've been with, if you use it as a club term, it's been the club with the longest time, so I'd know more people in there, and it's just so disappointing to see association that's done so well for me over the years and that I've been a part of, football sense, that it's just gone down a hole now, and at the moment it looks like it's going to have to clear everything out for it and start again, which is the way to go forward, but it's just disappointing that they've got themselves into this position.
And are you shocked by what's been going on at the FAI over the last, what's been revealed about what's been going on at the FAI?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Some of the stuff has really shocked me, like I said, the level, like the 24 accounts, and the fact that at some point they said they almost had, like, if John Delaney had to give them 100,000, that they had no money. That is just beyond, like, this supposedly was a profit-making organisation. Like, then they have, you know, huge facilities in the Aviva Stadium, and the revenue would have been coming in, the grants they would have got. So you're so surprised that they're in a position where they literally couldn't pay people. So to get themselves into that state, what was going on behind the situations for that to happen? You just think it has to be catastrophic errors that must have been made, or like ledgering or accounting. But I think the issue is that with John Delaney is that the fact that he had so much power and it was one man at the top, and that, considering he is the CEO, but he's not like Elon Musk. It's not his company. He hasn't invented the FAI. He's not, you know what I mean? It's not like he's made this from the ground up. He's been brought in there to run the company, and I think that's the disappointing part, that he was able to gather so much power and have so much say over everything, and it was down to one man, and it wasn't an elector or it wasn't a committee type thing, even though it was supposed to be. It was all down on John.
And were you aware of that when you were playing? Were you aware that if you wanted something done, it went through the CEO?
Yeah, well, to be honest, for most things for us, if something was untoward or we needed something changed, it was generally the captain would go and it would be straight to John, and John would be the one that would fix it. So you knew he was the man to go to organise everything, or, you know, if the travel wasn't right, if where we were staying wasn't correct, or if something like that had to be changed, it would be more, we'd have a discussion, the captain would go, and you'd almost bypass it. It'd be the coaching staff first, but then it'd probably be bypass the coaching staff straight to Delaney, and he'd be the one that would fix it.
And was there ever any sense over the last decade that there were money issues? Like, when you talk about accommodation, when you, like, even we have Paul O'Hare saying that when you talk about 24 accounts, they've no money in any of those accounts, so they need this €100,000, that they're getting to the stage of, like, how can they afford to pay for these away trips? Like, that it's something catastrophic was potentially coming down the line.
I think what would have been was, because we would have been the face of the company type thing, I suppose, and we were the forefront of it, I think everything would have been put to a side for us to make sure that we had done properly. So when it comes to travel and where we stayed and flights and stuff and all, that would have
affected
everything else below would have been affected more. Whereas I reckon because we were the face of it and what people see, that was the thing that was prioritised. Prioritise that first, get that done, and then everything else can take it. So I'm sure those people that would have maybe lost their jobs or
there was pay cuts.
Exactly, and so that stuff would have affected. But I think because you're the top of the pyramid, I suppose we were the ones that were least affected in that sense.
And as players, would you ever talk about the FAI? About, I guess you're on your flights to matches with the board.
Not really. Like you'd have conversations with them and chit chat, but because it's not your club, it doesn't affect your day to day. You come in and you're on and you're meeting up with a group of lads you haven't been with for a long time, so you're just with the boys and you have a bit of crack, and it's very different. So you don't. In club football, you'd be a bit more intrigued there to know what's going on with the board sense or the managing director, or if you're meeting the chief exec or something like that. But in the international football, it'd be more just coming in to meet with the guys you haven't seen for a month, and then you're getting on well together and you go off for a game and it's literally you're 2 weeks together and you're away, so you'd be less inclined to be informed about it. Listen, it's still our association and most of us have been involved in it for a long time, so it's extremely disappointing, and it's a sad day in Irish football for it to get to this. But like I said, it wouldn't have affected us as much because of where we were.
Do you see a future role in sports administration?
I'm not too sure about that. Like I think Noel Quinn seems to have it nailed down probably for the CEO. Well,
yeah, he'll be spotting the board.
Yeah, maybe spotting the board. Yeah. Give it up and say.
I do think we need to look at these avenues. That I said about a week ago we had a conversation on this, and I thought it was sort of pie in the sky stuff still to think that Niall Quinn, Brian Kerr would be back involved in the FAI, that there was so much water in the bridge. But so much has been revealed since, like the fact that we're sitting here, that John Delaney is right now stepped aside as even executive vice president, that all the board are going to step away, that people are talking of a totally new organisation to run football in Ireland. Anything is possible, and you want people in the know. You want former players involved, and like Shane Ross said yesterday, you want players representatives of the league. I think some people might be surprised to know that there is a representative of the League of Ireland on the board. There's probably questions as to what they were actually achieving, but I was thinking a players representative doesn't necessarily need to be from the PFAI. It may well end up being somebody like Stephen McGuinness or Gary Rogers, but it could be John Walters, who's been very involved in the PFA over in England. They need to cast far and wide as to who can come in.
Yeah, if they're going to go all new, they should be definitely looking to get people that are in the game, that have seen what's been done right, how to do things right, how to make sure that things don't happen, I suppose, the way they have over the last number of years. And plus, the light is on it now, so whoever's in there, they'll be in there with a real goal, just to get kind of, as you said, the brand back on the right road, and to get people behind it, and to get people that have played the game or that have been involved in the game to see how they can affect what way the game is going in Ireland. But I would absolutely be looking at guys like Niall Quinn and Brian Kerr and these guys, get them in, I
think people that don't have an agenda, I suppose, they're generally their best interest is to get Irish football back up to where we all want it to be and where we hope it to be. And like I said, people that have had involvement in whether Premiership football or any high level of football, where they can see the workings and how it's been done properly and the organisation that it takes and the people that they need to have in place and the structure. That's what needs to be done. So a lot of players would have been involved in that, like I said, and you'd know more about it from your club, so you'd have to try and implement that into the FAI.
Yeah, and there's a few probably them board members too that I'd probably feel for, because when you're a board member, you're a board member, but you're in, and if the boss is a strong kind of leader and he's doing his things his way, kind of how much control does one guy in the board? Does he have the power to step up? We all know there's, like, I worked in Ulster Bank before. I wasn't going to go into the board of Ulster Bank and say, I want this thing done this way. You just knew there was kind of chains of command to go on. Yeah. So it is a tricky one. It is a tricky one for some of those guys that that may have done everything right, knew that there was stuff going on, but they couldn't have the power to change it by themselves. And you'd hate to see them lose their job over it as well. So there could be a few guys on that board that could actually, as you said earlier on, go for re-election or whatever.
They were the minority. They're sticking their neck out, and they could lose the job.
They could, absolutely.
That's going to affect their family.
Yeah, they just stay quiet and do their bit for their role or whatever their role is. Like, everybody has different roles on a board,
Yeah, the one thing you'd say is that the FAI board, it seems, are still giving as little information as possible to Sport Ireland, which was revealed yesterday that the FAI and Sport Ireland met on Monday. The FAI never mentioned that Deloitte were making this report that they weren't keeping proper accounts. They never mentioned that they were all going to step aside. They waited till they met the sports minister, Shane Ross. So
haven't dealt with it well, really, have they?
no, it's been a disaster the way this has played out. But maybe in the long run,
for
it's
a
going to
reason,
be very good.
For a reason,
exactly.
they're probably hiding stuff.
Exactly, the lack of transparency. I think that's probably been the most damning for them, hasn't it? The fact that they haven't been upfront and open. They haven't been able to, but the fact that they haven't come forward, like right. They've been caught or whatever has happened is going now be open about it and at least go out with some dignity.
Yeah.
At the moment that's not happening. They just seem to be focused on, okay, let's just protect ourselves as much as we possibly can. How do we get through this? Like bury ourselves in and get out the other side, and that's not going to happen. Like the more people are getting involved, the more people are investigating, it's just going to get worse.
So Aaron Shearer will be with us around 9 o'clock and will talk us through the technicalities of what's happened over the last 24 hours.